Today in your journal, we are going to be focusing on page 49, Thomas Jefferson, the third president. He is a Democratic Republican, and he will serve from 1801 to 1809. Inside of his presidency, we have page 50, the Louisiana Purchase, and Lewis and Clark. And then 51, we are going to focus back on the Northwest Ordinance as a part of the Louisiana Purchase. Going to give you time to write that down. This may be paused. Okay. We are going to talk about Thomas Jefferson and his presidency. Jefferson was Adams' vice president when Adams was president. However, Adams' presidency, as we know, did not go as well as Adams was hoping, and Jefferson would run against him in the 1800 election. Jefferson would beat Adams and would become the third president. Now, this was huge because this is the first time that we are changing presidency from one political party to another, and it was expected, as George Washington told us, not to create political parties, that there may be some violence when switching from one party to another. However, Jefferson and Adams remained amicable or peaceful during this, and actually they were able to switch from one party to another without any violence. And this will be called the Revolution of 1800. Thomas Jefferson, as a president, these are the things he believed in. Now remember, Thomas Jefferson is a Democratic Republican, which means he is all about the people. He is all about states' rights, more so than the federal government being super big and in charge. Really helping out the farmers and the common man. And so this is how he is going to show it in his presidency. So he is going to reduce the size of the military, meaning that he would shrink it, because he believed the bigger the military you have, the more power you have as a federal government agency. And like he believes in, he does not believe the central government should be overwhelmingly in power. He's going to reduce government spending. So that is his way of staying out of debt. He is not going to keep spending money elsewhere when he realizes we have all these great things inside of America. And lastly, we're going to talk about him believing in a laissez-faire government. Now, Thomas Jefferson was very pro-France, and France has a laissez-faire government, right? That is a French word. It means like laid off, or, government is hands off. This laissez-faire government will turn into what we have today, called your free enterprise system. It will often be shortened to FES. So this government system is all about your money, your economics. You as a person inside of America can create a business and do what you would like as long as you are doing legal things. Now, your government cannot tell you how much to make, how little to make, how much to sell it for, how much it should be priced or not priced, what you can sell or what you cannot sell, as long as it is legal. Your government is hands off. And this is all coming from a pro-France aspect of laissez-faire government. We're going to visit the FES system a lot as we go further down in our eras, but just to give you an idea, right, that is the foundation of America. And Thomas Jefferson really starts to bring this forward. Now, of course, when we have talked about Thomas Jefferson previously, we have talked about him writing the Declaration of Independence, which is huge, right? So he has already had this deep understanding of independence, wanting to be free, not having an overwhelming control of the government. And that really is being shown inside of his presidency and his political party. And when we talk about Thomas Jefferson, and when you see him on your star, it most likely will be about the Declaration of Independence, but also when we start to talk about government being hands off, or laissez-faire, or the free economic or free enterprise system. Quiz time. Why did Jefferson cut the size of the military? So you're going to talk with your elbow partner. I'll give you time for that. This can be paused. And then this is your EQ. You are writing down, does America have a laissez-faire economy today? And then explain it in your notebook. I will give you time. This can be paused. Okay. While we do talk about Thomas Jefferson believing that the economics of the country should not solely be focused in your federal government, meaning your federal government should not do whatever they please, Jefferson is going to have a run-in on his own about this, specifically with the Louisiana Purchase. Now, as you can see on the screen, the Louisiana Purchase is that big pink thing right in the middle pointing at Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson is pointing at Napoleon. So Napoleon was a character coming out of France. He is this larger-than-life military man, and he was fighting wars all over the place in Europe, right? He basically was having a war over all European territories. And while he did well for some wars or battles, he did not do well all the time. And as we have learned with our own independent battle, wars cost a lot of money. And Napoleon was just going into battle after battle after battle to expand France. But it was taking a lot of money out of the French banking system. And so he was looking for a quick fix and was like, hey, I know you guys in America probably want to get a little bit bigger. And he was willing to sell the Louisiana Territory to Jefferson. However, Jefferson had this really big battle on the inside of himself because he is a person that believes just because I'm president doesn't mean I can exert all this power or I can be the most powerful being. And it doesn't say in the Constitution if the presidents are allowed to expand the U.S. And so Jefferson was really struggling with this idea, and he was not sure the Constitution gave him the power. But he was looking at the state of our country and thinking, hey, it's probably best just to buy this land, and so he would buy it anyway. But this does show in 1803 that presidents do have more power than what we had originally thought, right? Because it was Jefferson who could ultimately make the decision to buy this land or to not buy this land. And so in 1803, the U.S. is going to pay $15 million for this land. Now, us right now, sitting in class, might be thinking $15 million is a lot of money, but this space will double the size of America for only $15 million. So it's actually quite cheap. And you will see later as we go through and we get more pieces of land, we are going to pay more money for less land. In fact, way less land. So this was kind of a steal and a deal that Jefferson just could not pass up on. Quiz time. In what year did Thomas Jefferson buy the Louisiana Territory from France? You're going to talk with your elbow partner about this. And your EQ. You will be answering this inside of your notebook. Why was France willing to sell us land for so cheap? Giving you time to write that down. Okay, so now we're going to look at it. So as a part of the USA, we see in 1783, we have the original 13. And then when we had moved northwest and got all of the territory, when we had won our war for independence. Now, in our next slide, we will see that in 1803, we had completely doubled the size of America. And it is very important that you know in the Louisiana Purchase, we doubled the size of America. And so now we have all of this space, and that's where we're going to start getting into the Lewis and Clark expedition and exactly what that looks like. So we have Meriwether Lewis and William Clark are going to go out and say, hey, I will be willing to explore the Louisiana Territory. Now, this is a huge deal because we had no idea what was in this land, right? We didn't know, was there hostile Native Americans? What is the weather, the climate like? What is the geography like? And so Lewis and Clark are going into this area with no experience or no idea of what they are going to do. Now, when they get there, they will meet a woman named Sacagawea, and she will help them on their expedition. She will be a translator, and she will kind of show them around the area as they make their way to the Oregon country all the way at the top left. This trip will lay the groundwork for future Americans to move west. And we will move west for lots of reasons, but as you already know, we were already itching to move west as colonists, right? And we had won the French and Indian War and were not able to move. And so that was a huge experience for us. And now to double the size of America and be able to get there, it was something that we had never seen before. So now you have your elbow partner and your EQ. Your elbow partner says who helped Lewis and Clark explore the Louisiana Territory. And your EQ, what effect did the Lewis and Clark expedition have on the American people? Okay. Now, as we talk about the Lewis and Clark expedition and now gaining information about the Louisiana Purchase, we do have to talk about how do we gain more states, right? Because people just can't go into a territory and say, this state is for me. We have certain land or requirements we have to make to become a state. And now, of course, this will change as we start to get more territories, as you will see. But as a reminder, this is what we have so far. The Northwest Ordinance. Remember, this is basically the only good thing that came out of the articles, so we did keep it. And it is a process to add states to the Union, which means there are steps to take to add states. Number 1, we forbid slavery. As you can tell, this is later going to be an issue once we get to those southern states in the Louisiana Purchase, because they are going to want to follow in suit of the South and continue to have slavery there. 2, we allow freedom of religion. That is a huge aspect of American culture. We were founded on religious freedom with the Pilgrims coming. And so we try to keep that inside of all of our states. And then 3, trial by jury, right? This is another thing the king took from us. And so we are trying our best to not be like the king and allow the fairness of a trial by jury. And you also had to reach 60,000 people before they could even apply to be a state. Now, you may apply, but that does not mean that you are going to be accepted right away. And so those are some things that we are going to talk about as well. Okay, that is where I'm going to leave you today. Do not forget this was on 3 separate pages, so make sure you are following up in your notebook about that.